The Great Awakening. In the year 1857, the Indian landscape was a tapestry of growing resentment. Under the shadow of the East India Company, the doctrine of lapse had stripped many Indian rulers of their ancestral lands. Nana Sahib, the adopted son of the Peshwa, stood before a British officer, his face a mask of calm fury. He had been denied his father's pension, a slight that mirrored the loss felt by many kings and queens across the subcontinent. The political foundations were crumbling, and the air was thick with the scent of an approaching storm. While the palaces simmered with anger, the villages suffered in silence. The Industrial Revolution in England had flooded Indian markets with machine-made goods, destroying the livelihood of local weavers. Nearby, a farmer knelt in his dusty field, clutching a handful of dry earth. The heavy land taxes, zamindari, ryotwari, and mahalwari, had pushed his family into a cycle of debt and despair. The economic heart of the nation was bleeding, and the people were beginning to realize that their survival depended on change. Inside the military barracks, the tension reached a breaking point. Indian soldiers, known as sepoys, were treated as inferiors. They received lower pay than their British counterparts, and were denied promotions regardless of their bravery. New laws forced them to cross the seas, an act that many believed would cost them their caste and religion. Two sepoys sat by a flickering lantern, whispering about the rumors of social reforms like the abolition of sati and the promotion of Western education, which they feared were deliberate attempts to erase their ancient traditions. The spark that finally lit the fuse was greased with fat and controversy. A new Enfield rifle was introduced, requiring soldiers to bite off the ends of cartridges rumored to be greased with cow and pig fat, sacred to Hindus and forbidden to Muslims. In Barrackpur, a brave soldier named Mangal Pandey decided he would no longer be silent. He stood defiantly before his commanding officer, his eyes burning with the fire of 1,000 grievances, refusing to touch the tainted ammunition. The rebellion spread like wildfire from Meerut to Delhi. In Kanpur, Nana Sahib took command of the forces, joined by his brilliant general, Tantia Tope. Together they strategized in a dimly lit room, planning how to reclaim their city from the company's grip. Tantia Tope, a master of guerrilla warfare, adjusted his sword as Nana Sahib pointed to a map of the Ganges. Their alliance was a beacon of hope for a nation that had found its voice at last. In the heart of central India, the legend of the Jhansi Ki Rani was born. Rani Lakshmibai, the Queen of Jhansi, refused to surrender her kingdom after the British applied the doctrine of lapse. She led her troops with unmatched ferocity. On the battlefield, she encountered General Hugh Rose, the British commander. Despite the overwhelming odds, she sat high on her horse, a symbol of resistance that even her enemies could not help but admire. Lakshmibai was not just a queen, she was a mother and a protector. During the fierce defense of the Jhansi fort, she carried her young adopted son on her back, tied securely with a cloth. She stood on the ramparts with a trusted female soldier, looking out at the British cannons. Her courage gave strength to every man and woman in the city, proving that the fight for freedom was not just for the present, but for the future of their children. Despite the individual acts of heroism, the tide began to turn. The British possessed a superior network of communication and a unified command. Two British officers sat in a telegraph office, the clicking of the machine sending messages across India faster than any rebel horseman could ride. While the Indian leaders fought bravely in their own regions, they lacked a central plan and a common goal. This lack of unity became the greatest weapon in the hands of the British. The revolt eventually faltered. Many local rulers, fearing the return of the Mughal Empire or hoping to gain favor, chose to support the British or remain neutral. The superior weaponry and organization of the company's army slowly crushed the pockets of resistance. A defeated rebel soldier walked through a village, his head bowed, passing an Indian king who sat comfortably on his porch. The king looked away, highlighting the painful division that had led to the failure of their grand ambition. Though the war was lost, India was forever changed. In 1858, Queen Victoria issued a proclamation ending the East India Company's rule and bringing India under the British Crown. The Act for the Better Government of India promised no further annexations and religious freedom. An Indian clerk stood in a public square, reading the proclamation to a curious citizen. The seeds of modern nationalism had been sown. The path to 1947 had begun in the blood and fire of 1857.